Hi guys, welcome back to episode 21 of the Good Decent Poison and Shit series. And in today's video, we will be covering quite a lot of handful companies. And going forward, whatever the companies that we are covering, like including I think even a couple of days before uska bhi video, aaj ka bhi video, going forward all the videos, it includes both your PPT as well as what went down in the con call. Okay, इसलिए थोड़ा वीडियो में देर हो रहा है in terms of doing it because I'm catching up with all the con calls that is that transcript पढ़ के एक ही वीडियो में मुझे सब कुछ बनाना है rather than making two parts of the same company. In that way क्या होगा, like it puts me also in that जोश का mode, जल्दी जल्दी करना है everything. I also become मेरा भी speed बढ़ जाता है. At the same time आपको भी एक ही वीडियो में सब कुछ मिल जाता है, right? So that is that. To understand, again we have a lot of companies that are there जिसका हमें analysis करना है. Just to give you an idea, since I think yesterday to आज मैं सिर्फ पढ़ ही रही हूँ, मतलब लास्ट जो वीडियो मैंने बनाया था from that time to now I've just been reading. So बहुत सारे कंपनीज है, क्राफ्ट्समैन, डीपी अबूशन, सिरका, केन्स, डिक्सॉन, शक्ति पंप्स, एवरीथिंग. शक्ति पंप्स का भी अभी कॉन कॉल हुआ, 4 बजे था कॉन कॉल. आई डिड अटेंड लाइव अबाउट इट. सो टू मेनी कंपनीज दैट आर देयर. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी आई विल बी एबल टू डू इन दिस 20 minutes का वीडियो. So I'll try to do. You can just check the description box, to know which companies that we are doing today. Okay. And yes, before I start with the video, as you know, we are getting up with a Q1 FY26 portfolio workshop. Make sure you get that if so you can understand, how a portfolio is created, what is the logic behind it, and why do we churn? Why do we churn at an effective rate? And how has the portfolio churned, from last quarter to this quarter? How does the allocation change with respect to company's performance and so forth? Okay. So anyways, I'm very excited to see you on the 24th of August. We are doing it live. So make sure you reserve your seat before it's too late. Anyways, let us start now with Craftsman Automation. So if you look at this company, if you look at इनका business model जो है, so what do? इनका अगर आप देखते हो, the main part of the revenue comes, almost 60% of the revenue comes by making this aluminium products that are there. Okay, and I mean these people are a pure B2B business, पूरा manufacturing का business है, various industries के लिए, OEMs के लिए, ये सारा products जो है वो बनाता है. The other 30% comes from your powertrain solutions. Okay, so यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो, first thing first, when you see the top line growth that is there, sales is up by 55%. So the minute you see the top line growth ना क्या होता है, you might be like wow कितना अच्छा numbers है, right? मतलब 50% से अपना sales grow कर रहा है and everything. But here is a catch towards it. The reason it grew by that 55% is because in the last year, okay, like in somewhere between October to March, I think it is in the March of 2025 to be even more precise. In this span of this last 6 months, what they have done is they have done an acquisition. Okay, so they have done 2 acquisitions actually, Sunbeam और Frostburg बोल के 2 acquisition उन्होंने किया. Now because of this acquisition that is there, this ये जो revenues जो है इतना बड़ा इतना growth दिखा रहा है, ठीक है. Other than that, if you see, अगर आप उसका दूसरा metrics देखते हो, whether it is PAT hardly grew by 20%, so huge miss on operating leverage. उनका जो margins that is there is quite stable, nothing to be a wow factor about it, all of that. Here is another thing, अगर आप देखते हो उसका जो है, the management clearly mentioned last year कि like this year that is going to be FY26 is going to be a year of consolidation and not a year of growth. Okay, why? Because उनका जो वो Sunbeam का जो उन्होंने acquisition किया था. Okay, so this Sunbeam is a company which makes this other types of aluminium product. इसके वजह से उसको और भी push मिलेगा in this segment of their revenue. Now यहाँ पे इस acquisition में क्या हुआ था, ये Sunbeam का company का जो plant था, it was in Gurgaon. Okay, and they wanted to shift this plant from Gurgaon to Bhiwadi. So because of that, उनका जो है, they have to pay up all these employees that are there, all of this, shifting the plant, making sure the plant starts running and everything. So because of this उन्होंने ये चीज बोला था. But in spite of that also उन्होंने बोला शायद इस साल we will do maybe 7,000 crore in terms of revenue, that is roughly around 20 to 25% kind of growth. But उनका जो अगर आप long term target देखते हो, that is if you talk about FY30, so their plan is by FY30 हम लोग 10,000 crore का revenues we will reach 10,000 crores of revenue. So if you compare it now, that's hardly like 12 to 14% केगार. ओके, सो अगर वो इस साल भी अगर वो 25-30% करता भी है, आगे जाके if you look at it, the guidance is very meek, right? So that is the thing, that is why I would say it is like a decentish okayish company. I mean कुछ गलत नहीं किया, मतलब poison भी नहीं बोल सकते हो, because जो भी बोल रहे हैं वो करके तो दिखा रहे हैं, but also at the same time आप good या outstanding भी नहीं बोल सकते हो, because you know there is nothing about it, you know, that could, you know, that could make you like go like wow, मतलब क्या अच्छा opportunity or anything, मतलब ठीक ठाक जैसे कंपनी आप बोल सकते हो क्राफ्ट्समैन ऑटोमेशन को. Then the second company that we have is DPABUSHION. अगर आप DPABUSHION देखते हो, the business model is similar to the likes of PN Gadgil and Thangamile Jewelers. ये एक gold retailer है, मतलब आपका जो ज्वेलरी बनाता है, they make this jewelry, gold company है, and they sell the jewelry in their stores under the brand name same called as DPABUSHION Golds and Diamonds that are there. Okay. Now अगर आप इसका देखते हो ना, why am I telling the business model is similar to that of Thangamile और Gadgil is उनका एक geographical concentration है. They are very focused in that क्या बोलते हैं उसको, रतलम, भिवाड़ी, in that areas of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, you know, in that part of India, like how we have Thangamile in Tamil Nadu, PN Gadgil अभी भी जो भी बोलो उसका 90% आ रहा है from Maharashtra, right? So similarly, you know, like it's a similar kind of model. Okay, now यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो ना, see last year yes they did have like, you know, 40-50% kind of growth, but everybody knew, right, this 40-50% kind of growth is not sustainable, because Q1 में, you know, a little bit, you know, Q2 में क्या हुआ था, जो Q1 में सेल्स नहीं हुआ था हीट वेव्स की वजह से लास्ट टाइम, वो Q2 में फ्लो हो गया. Q3 इज एनीवेज वेडिंग सीजन, राइट, एंड Q4 में उनका, यू नो, थोड़ा शॉप्स ओपन हो चुका था, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट, यू नो, वो इंक्रीमेंटल सेल्स जो है वो आता है. बट उन्होंने, मैनेजमेंट ने तो, यू नो, ओपनली बोला था कि लाइक भाई हमसे 25-30% का ही उम्मीद रखो, उससे ज्यादा ना रखो, ठीक है. बट इफ यू लुक एट द Q1 का नंबर्स ना, Q1 का नंबर्स आर क्वाइट डिसअपॉइंटिंग, बिकॉज द सेल्स ओनली ग्रू बाय 7%. Okay, now here is the thing, sales is a factor of two things, right? Sales is a factor of, you know, the existing stores that is there, you would need the SSG, plus आपका जो new stores that is there. Okay, now here new stores तो है नहीं इनका, मतलब because all of the stores that is there, they opened 3 stores last year, which got, you know, all of them got operationalized in Q4 of FY25. So it's not like Q1 में उन्होंने कुछ नया सा store add किया या कुछ हुआ, you know, that is there. So majority should have come from the SSG part only that is there, right? मतलब at least the 7% of the sale, 3.5 to 4% must have been SSG. The other few must have come from that, you know, the new showroom in that 10,000 square feet के उन्होंने रतलम में 2 floor वाला, you know, showroom खड़ा किया, ठीक है, okay. But you understand that, मतलब आपने 25% बोला था, 7% किया, that is number one disappointing. Now ये क्यों हुआ? Okay, why? Because इस साल अगर आप देखते हो, right, we've seen that the gold price that is there, it shot up, right, मतलब 30% का हाइक हुआ है गोल्ड का प्राइसेस में. You know, I think you know, 7,000 से 10,000 rupees हुआ, right, I think gold का prices also. So that is the thing. So now since gold का prices has, you know, has increased, the consumer is a little bit, you know, hesitant in terms of purchase. और इनका एक और चीज है, उनका 60% of the revenues जो है वो ब्राइडल ज्वेलरी से आता है, and you know, right, Q1 and Q2 में उतना वेडिंग डेट्स भी नहीं होता है. So that is the reason, you know, they've taken a really big hit, you know, plus geographical concentration भी है, right, that is what has happened over here. But here is the thing, उनका एक अच्छा चीज है, although the existing numbers are not really that great, the उनका, what I really liked about them in the con call is, earlier if you look at it, they had 11 showrooms, okay, even now they have 11 showrooms, and they mentioned earlier कि like 11 से 20 करेगा in a span of, you know, 3 years by FY28. Okay, अभी बोल रहा है by FY30 we will go from 11 to 50 showrooms. That is really great. ना मतलब अगर आप 28 से भी देखते हो, that is literally even you know, even if they do 20 showrooms by FY28, 20 से 50 जाना in a span of 2 years, that is more than double ना in terms of आपका store expansion. So one is यहाँ पे store expansion का जो plans थे, that is completely changed. Why this change is because earlier they used to do only COCO stores, okay, company owned, company operated. अभी QIP किया, पैसे उठाया 600 crores का, now they want to go into that franchise का route also and start the expansion, ठीक है. And एक और चीज है, उनका जो studded part of the jewelry that is there, they also want to increase that from 6 to 15%, you know, in the span of 5 years. So that is the only thing that is giving me a little bit of hope, but we will have to track the execution and see. Little bit in terms of वो gold का चीज जो है उतना मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है, मतलब in terms of that them telling कि like, you know, demand that is there, you know, is that people are being cautious and everything. Why? Because अगर आप देखते हो, throughout the time, if you've seen in history, now आप कोई भी con call भी पढ़ के देखो, management tells the same thing, that when gold का price rise, that first few months that are there, what happens is consumer is a little bit hesitant, because वो एक regret आता है ना consumer का mind में भी, अरे like जब 6,000 था तभी खरीदना था, 8,000 था तभी खरीदना था, 10,000 हो गया अभी, that hesitant comes when they've seen that gold price rise. Okay, बट क्या होते हैं अल्टीमेटली, गोल्ड हैज ऑलवेज बिन दैट काइंड ऑफ एन एसेट दैट हैज इंक्रीज ना, मतलब उसका प्राइस तो कभी नीचे नहीं गिरता है, अगर वो गिरता है तो इट इज अगेन अ वेरी शॉर्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. सो पीपल विल नेवर स्टॉप बाइंग गोल्ड, बट इट इज जस्ट दैट अ लिटिल बिट हेसिटेंट दे बिकम, फॉर द फर्स्ट फ्यू इनिशियल मंथ्स, दैट इज देयर. एंड स्पेशली ये कहाँ पे होता है? अगेन देयर आर टू कैटेगरीज ऑफ ज्वेलरी, राइट? वन इज योर ओकेशन बेस्ड ज्वेलरी एंड द अदर वन इज क्या होता है आपका, योर डेली वेयर ज्वेलरी. दिस हेसिटेंसी कम्स मोर वेयर इन दिस डेली वेयर ज्वेलरी कैटेगरी. एंड Q1 एंड Q2 में तो ज्यादा तो डेली वेयर ज्वेलरी बिकता है, राइट? बिकॉज क्या होता है, अगर आपका बेटी का शादी है या आपका अक्षय तृतीया में यू हैव टू डू गोल्ड, क्या होता है, यू विल नॉट टेल ना, अरे बेटी का शादी है, आप गोल्ड का प्राइसेस भाव बढ़ गया, नहीं गोल्ड नहीं, तुम सिल्वर पहनो. यू विल नॉट डू दैट. यू विल अल्टीमेटली go and buy that gold irrespective of whatever the gold prices are, right? So that is the thing. Again, when gold ka price rises na, if whatever the stated sales is that they will do, because अगर volume growth नहीं होता है ना, they will compensate that with value growth, because the consumer that is there, if he is decided to spend 1 lakh on gold, he will spend that 1 lakh gold. उसका क्या होगा? Earlier he was probably getting 10 grams, now will probably get 8 grams in gold. That is that, right? तो volume growth का वहाँ पे difference आता है. But the jewelry companies will make it up, because gold का prices तो बढ़ता ही रहता है, value growth से उनका incremental sales growth आता है. So that is the thing. Overall, what I would say is we'll have to track this company and see कि like what this franchisee का क्या होता है and everything. But as of now, if you look at in terms of just Q1 numbers, that is there a bit disappointing, 7% का growth, because when you compare Thangamile did 27. अगर आप गदगिल को देखते हो 30%, अगर आप कल्याण को भी देखते हो 31% का ही किया, सेनको भी इस बार 28% का growth किया. So when you compare all these things, DPABUSHION literally falls in the last player in the race that is there. Okay, then the third company that we will do is Gabriel India. Now Gabriel India का क्या है? These people make the shock absorber, okay, जो आपका suspension system में use होता है गाड़ी का. 62% of the revenue comes from आपका ये two wheeler and that 3-wheeler का market. Here is the thing, the management had guided for a mid-teens kind of revenue growth earlier, right? That is the kind of growth they had done for. But अगर अभी आप देखते हो थोड़ा सा, you will see that in the con call, right, management is a little bit क्या बोलते हैं, like a bit negative in the sense कि like बोल रहा है कि like टू व्हीलर का market is not doing well. That अगर आप कोई भी टू व्हीलर whichever company is catering to this two wheeler market ना, they are already telling that global इतना uncertainty है, इतना demand नहीं है, and everybody is hoping for one thing. September October में जब ये दशहरा दिवाली होगा, they are hoping at least because of that जो आगे जाके ज्यादा से ज्यादा सेल होगा, maybe because of that उनका sales आ जाए. That is the entire thing they are betting on that Q2 and Q3 का months that are there. Okay, so that is the thing, the entire industry that is there, it is very dull. Okay, so again इनका भी वही हालत है, 14% का ग्रोथ किया, 14%. what more can you expect over here? 14% का ग्रोथ से क्या ही होगा, मतलब देश only is growing at 7%, उसमें 5% इन्फ्लेशन डालो, 13% का ग्रोथ रेट है. So if you are coming to the market, you should target something more than that, twice the rate of it, right? So you can escape the entire inflation and all. वरना कि आप 13-14% अपना पोर्टफोलियो में रखोगे, मतलब which means what, you will not even beat country का growth rate also at the end of the day, right? So that is the thing, nothing much to look forward for. These people क्या है, इसका merger हो रहा है, they are adding some companies, they are getting merged into the उनका जो parent group है, which is Anand and all. And अभी बोल रहे हैं कि like the merged entity में, ठीक है, merged entity में they will go from merged entity का 20,000 crores revenue है, and it will be 20,000 से they will target 50,000 crores in revenue by FY30 in a span of 5 years. First of all, merged company का base इतना बड़ा है, and on top of that you're planning to do this, that's roughly like hardly again 15 to 20% kind of CAGR kind of revenue. So again, least interesting, this is probably the least interesting in today's video, I would say. Okay, then we have the other two companies. I think I can do two more in this video. One we will do is Greenply Industries. Okay, so Greenply Industries क्या करते हैं, अपना plywood बनाता है, right? You might have seen plywood, right, in your day-to-day furnitures. You people use it on the walls and everything, right? So इसका भी अगर आप देखते हो, these people also had guided for for a double digit volume growth. Okay, but unfortunately it looks like the end of this year they will probably not be able to achieve it, because अगर आप Q1 का ही देखते हो ना, Q1 का हालत इतना बुरा है. Sales is up by 3%, volume is down by 3%. Okay, जो sales जो up हुआ 3%, it came because of realization, because plywood का जो prices है, it has become stabilized, थोड़ा थोड़ा soften हो चुका है, it is not increasing by a huge rate. So due to this realization उनका वो 3% का sales growth मिला, वरना वो भी नहीं रहता, because volume is down by 3%. Let me tell you, negative growth है volume का. ठीक है, अगर आप देखते हो other than that also, PAT is also अगर आप देखते हो ना, not much, nothing to look forward over here in any metrics that is there. क्यों हुआ ये? Because अगर आप देखते हो apparently April end में वो ठीक ठाक, whatever the guidance, according to April end में अगर आप देखते हो जो 15% का volume का, I mean double digit volume का था, they would have probably done it. But June went apparently the most horrible month for them, and apparently the June का month, the last 2-3 years, if you look back at least post COVID, if you see, June was never as horrible as it was in this year. Okay, and that is because जो channel partners है, right, they were not buying anything, और जो channel partners to whom they have sold, they're not even giving them the cash also. Because क्या होता है, channel part मैं Greenply हूँ, मैंने channel partner को दिया, मेरा distributor को, distributor जाके वो EPC companies को देगा, right, then क्या होता है, EPC company उसको cash देगा, ये मेरे को cash देगा. That is how the cycle works. Now क्या हो रहा है, EPS का that is there, sorry, EPS companies that are there, right, मतलब sorry, EPC companies that are there, इनका पूरा का पूरा कैश क्रंच हो चुका है, बिकॉज दे आर नॉट गेटिंग गवर्नमेंट ऑर्डर, दे आर उसका टेंडर्स रोक चुका है, दोस पीपल हैविंग वहां पे प्रॉब्लम्स, सो द चैनल पार्टनर इज नॉट गेटिंग पेड, एज अ रिजल्ट यहाँ पर भी उनका ऑर्डर्स नहीं हो रहे, बिकॉज अगर चैनल पार्टनर्स के पास कैश नहीं होगा देन हाउ विल दे प्लेस ऑर्डर, बिकॉज उसने एग्जिस्टिंग माल का ही पैसे नहीं दिया ना. सो दैट इज अ थिंग. सो यहाँ पे पूरा इसके वजह से पूरा का पूरा माहौल बिगड़ चुका है, एंड दे आर एक्सपेक्टिंग, दे आर टेलिंग कि लाइक जुलाई अगस्त में रिकवरी हो चुका है, ऑल्दो जून वाज बैड, बट अल्टीमेटली अगेन राइट, मतलब even if you're targeting volume growth is to be double digit, somewhere क्या 11 to 14% आप expect कर सकते हो. again उसमें आप let's say 4-5% का realization डाल दो, again 18% का growth. Okay, even if they do so, it would be a decent number, again nothing exciting, but as of now it is poisonous, I would say. Okay, now the last company that we will do is Happiest Mind Technologies. Happiest Mind Technologies ka, if you look at it, the sales is up by 18%. Now yes, if you look at the other companies that are there, right, now when I talk about other companies, I'm talking about Tata Elxsi, that is there, grew by 3%. If you look at TCS, Infosys, no growth. Tech Mahindra, again no growth. LTTS grew by 16%. So when you compare that, when you compare Mindtree and all of the other people that are there in the same league who operate in the same space, yes, if you look at it, Happiest Mind Technologies has done better. But having said that, अपना अगर आप देखते हो ना, Happiest Mind को also if you look at it, it is उसका pace of growth कम हो रहा है. And remember we told about the other day also, like just because you are coming in front, the first position in the race doesn't necessarily mean you're also a good company, because again you also have to see which race you're competing in. Are you competing in a horse race or tortoise race? Because if you look at the entire IT का industry, it is complete tortoise right now, right? Hardly 2 or 3 players such as आपका what is that, Coforge, and the other company that is there, I forgot which company, like we have discussed about this in one of the videos. A couple of companies like this are doing well, right, but unka growth rate is at least 30%. This is atra, right? And with the kind of base that you have, even and the kind of PE that you have, I mean you literally have to pay 40 to 45 times in earnings for a 18% ka growth. Okay, so although the growth is, I would say, a bit decent compared to the other companies, it just makes no sense paying the kind of valuations that are there, paying it becomes very hard at this growth rate for to get a PE rating. And on top of that, क्या उनका EPS भी उतना तेजी से भी बढ़ नहीं रहा है to make the valuation cheaper and cheaper, because if you see the PAT that is there, PAT hardly grew by 11%. So that's that, guys. मतलब again this is also another, you can tell slowly decentish poison उस category में आता है ये. So again like I told you, nothing decent. आज का जो companies था, it's either been decent or it's decent है और slowly poison पे turn हो रहा है. It is in that category, nothing really to be exciting about. Okay, so in the अगला video we will do some other companies that are there, थोड़ा और companies के बारे में बात करते हैं. ठीक है, I'll see you in the episode 22. Bye.